Your objective for lesson 5 is I will draw quadrilaterals that don't belong to certain categories. This lesson's not going to take us as long as the lesson before. It doesn't have as much to it, but you may need to go back to the lesson 4 on that paper that tells you what a trapezoid and a rectangle and a square and a rhombus is to help you remember. So you can draw quadrilaterals that don't belong in certain categories. But this one definitely is not going to take as long as the lesson before. Okay, so you'll need to have this paper out. Once again, this is like a concept development and problem set all in one, so there's not going to be a specific concept development before we get to the problem set. But the first one here says, here are 3 examples of quadrilateral. Draw an example of a polygon that's not a quadrilateral. So we know from the previous lesson that a quadrilateral has 4 sides. So anything that you draw that does not have 4 sides is not going to be a quadrilateral. So you could draw a rectangle, or not a rectangle, I'm sorry, a triangle. So what we're going to do here is we're going to draw a triangle. And then when we explain it, we pretty much just need to explain that this, or we can say, what I drew is not a quadrilateral because it does not have 4 sides. And I guess we could put 4 sides and 4 angles because that also is what a quadrilateral is. So that one was pretty easy. It just doesn't have 4 sides and 4 angles, and that's what makes this triangle not a quadrilateral. So now we're going to go on down to number 7 and number 8. It says, draw a quadrilateral that does not belong and then explain why. So what we have to do here is we kind of have to look at what are the shapes that we have. And if you remember from lesson 4, there were 4 shapes, 4 different quadrilaterals that we talked about. So it's going to be kind of easy on some of these because if they have all 3 of the other ones listed, then we pretty much know that we're going to have to put the other one that we went over. But we still have to look at what the other shapes are having, like what attributes they have, what can we use to describe them. We know that this one is a square and it has all sides that are the same length, or we could say it has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are the same length. We remember this one as a rhombus. It has all sides that are the same length or 2 pairs of opposite sides that are the same length. And then this one is a rectangle that has 2 pairs of opposite sides that are the same length. We can't say that all of these have right angles because this rhombus does not have right angles, but the rectangle and the square and the rectangle do. We can say that it does have 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel for all of these shapes. So the one shape left that we went over before was a trapezoid. So if you need to look back at that paper, you can, but I remember that a trapezoid has 1 pair of sides that are parallel and not the other pair of sides that are parallel. It doesn't have any right angles. Okay, so we're going to draw a trapezoid, and this side has to be straight, so I got to make it straight. And then it has like the slanted sides. So that's what a trapezoid looks like. And see that it's not the same as the other quadrilaterals that they have drawn for number 7. What makes this trapezoid not belong is that this trapezoid does not belong because it does not have 2 pairs of opposite sides that are parallel, and it does not have 2 pairs of opposite sides, if I can spell right, that are of equal lengths. And you'll have to put exactly what I put right here on your paper because that's exactly what makes that trapezoid not belong. And you do have to include all of that as your answer. So if you need to push pause and write that down, you can do that and then push play when you're ready to move on. So number 8, we've got all these other ones drawn. We've got a rectangle, we've got a square, and then this one is also a square. It's just turned sideways. You can tell the difference between this rhombus right here and this square. The sides are very different and more slanted. So if I were to take this right here and just turn it on its side, it would actually match just what this square looks like. So what I have right here are rectangles and squares. So I know that rectangles and squares are a lot alike, except for a rectangle does not have all sides that are of equal lengths. But both rectangles and squares have 4 right angles, and they both have 2 pairs of opposite sides that are equal. I do know that a rhombus cannot be a rectangle or a square because it doesn't have any right angles. So one of the shapes that we can draw here is a rhombus. I'm going to try to find one on my shapes that I can just draw one. But nope, I'm going to have to draw it myself. So it kind of looks like a diamond, so you're going to make it look like a diamond whenever you draw it. And then we're going to explain that it's not going to belong in this category because it does not have any right angles. So we're going to put this rhombus, if I can spell that right, does not belong because it does not have any right angles. And that's what we're going to explain for number 8. And then we're going to be ready to move on to the other side. You're going to do exactly the same thing here. It says, you have to read what it says. Here are 3 examples of a square. Draw a quadrilateral that's not a square. And the next one said, here's examples of rectangles. Draw something that's not a rectangle. And then the last one says that there are 3 different examples of a rhombus. And the reason that you're going to see a square here is because if you remember, a square can be a rhombus and a square can be a rectangle. So you're going to draw ones that are not a rhombus, you're going to draw something that's not a rectangle, and you're going to draw something that's not a square. This one I'm going to let you do on your own, and this is what you're going to bring to me kind of as your exit ticket. And if you need to go back to that first page that we did in lesson 4 to help you draw here, you need to do that because I'm going to be looking at your explanations for why you put that it wasn't a square, why it wasn't a rectangle, or why it wasn't a rhombus. So this page right here you're going to do on your own, and this is going to kind of be your exit ticket for this lesson. Just make sure whenever you're explaining that it's a pretty good explanation. So whenever you're done with this page, I want you to bring it to me and I'll go over it with you.